Ayanda Dlodlo on the line, and remember earlier she was speaking to farmers in the Eastern Free State. They say they lose over R1 million a month due to stock theft. This is a very political issue. Minister, let's start with that. Just going to the Eastern Free State, just meeting with these farmers could in fact open you up to political attack, because we had EFF leader Julius Malema on the very same day standing outside court saying that the state, that police have been biased towards these farmers. We even have some of our viewers looking at the stories tonight saying, are these farmers being given sort of undue attention? Did you think about political risk going in there today?
Good evening, Francis. We do not think of any political risk. Our responsibility really as servants of our people was to ensure that we do go where the problems are and try and resolve them in concert with the people that are part and parcel of those communities. And that's exactly what we did today. The unfortunate thing is that either party blames the police to some extent, and in a sense, they are damned if they do, they are damned if they don't.
Yeah. Can I just ask you a little bit more about this, because it is such a divisive issue, and we even have people going on the international stage saying there's a genocide of white farmers on one hand. On the other hand, people saying this is completely biased. The state shouldn't give this kind of focus to one farm manager who was killed. This is a crime issue. It's a racial issue. It's so full of emotion. How does government deal with that and try just stick to the issues and the facts?
You see, with this particular issue, Francis, the good thing is that government for the longest of time has always said the issue of what goes on in the farm relates to farm workers and farmers or farm owners themselves. The killing of this young man, this was a farm worker. He could have been white, but he was a farm worker. And this is what we always say as government, that the issue here is about the farming community rather than a particular section of the farming community. And I did address this in the meeting today to say it doesn't help for people to go on international platforms and paint things as though there is an agenda to destroy, to murder, to obliterate white farmers in South Africa.
Yeah.
We rely on their skill. We rely on what they put on our tables in the morning when we wake up, at lunchtime and at dinner time before we go to sleep. So this government can never have an agenda against farm owners.
Yeah.
But for the longest of time, those that go on the international platform make this to be an agenda against white people. The person that was killed, Brendin, a young man who is a farm worker and not a farm owner, was white. So what we have said consistently over time, we were vindicated this time around.
Yeah. And what did his family have to say, and what did the farmers have to say? And given the fact that some farmers, 2 people have been arrested, one in that case, a 52-year-old, the farmers did attack a police inyala and a van. Just give me the mood in the rooms today and how cordial that meeting was.
Our message basically was about an end to lawlessness, whichever direction that lawlessness comes from. Sometimes it comes in the form of extreme violent behavior. Sometimes it comes in a different form. The mood in the family itself was one of saying this one death cannot be used to score cheap points. The family is in mourning, and we had gone there to offer our condolences and pay our respects to a young child, a young man that has died at the hands of criminals. Going into the meeting with the farming community, I even saw people wearing face masks in that meeting. So going into that meeting, after we had insisted that the farming community in general, we even went on the phone, called AFASA, we called FUSA, we called other unions to ensure that everybody is represented at that meeting. But the general mood was that of positivity. And we came out of that meeting fulfilled in our initial surgeon into that area to say, we have come here to come to you to say, we are going to be working with you to eradicate the type of criminality that the farming community experiences from time to time.
It also emerged today to some shock that one of the suspects in Brendin Horner's murder had been arrested 16 times.
Yeah.
So, Minister, surely that is unacceptable in a country with our incredible crime rate.
Arrested 16 times for various crimes, none of which was murder, but arrested 16 times nonetheless. Convicted 4 times. 12 of the cases, something just happened and he never went back to court. So we are working around the clock to ensure a conviction this time around, and it's quite shameful. We were really shocked with Minister Cele that here is a man who is a habitual criminal that still roams our streets and does not serve time for the crimes that he commits.
Yeah. Minister, finally, you said there was some positivity today. This is about moving forward and not looking at the two extremes. But what are you expecting and what's going to happen on Friday? The EFF today issued a warning to police saying, they have been light-handed against white farmers, and if there aren't more arrests by Thursday, they may have to take things into their own hands. On Friday, Julius Malema said they may have to effect arrests on behalf of police. Then you have the farmers that clearly emotions are running high there, and we did have some resorting to vandalizing state property. How's it all going to end?
Well, it's unfortunate that statements like that are made, but on the other hand, citizens' arrests can be made, but people must just be careful not to incite further violence and polarization of our society. We did meet after the meeting that we had with the farming community to plan for some semblance of normality on Friday. So we are quite confident that the plans that we have in place will ensure that what happened on last week would not be repeated on Friday.
Very quickly, I have to ask you to respond. I mean, it would be better to speak to Minister Cele, but the EFF was basically saying the state was biased, that if this was a protest involving black demonstrations, there would have been tear gas, stun grenades, it would have been a big issue. Just your quick response to that claim of bias.
Well, it's the view of the EFF, probably true, but the issue is the way in which the police have moved swiftly to arrest even one of those protesters, for me, is reason enough to believe that the police are serious about dealing with the issues of protest that happened last week in the court. But that is not the end. Investigations are continuing, and quite obviously, more arrests are going to be effected. Now, putting a timeline to that might even jeopardize the investigations themselves. So people must just leave the police to do their investigation. There is a commitment to deal with lawlessness in that area, and that shall be done.
All right. We appreciate your time tonight. Thank you. That was State Security Minister Ayanda Dlodlo.